Hey everyone, welcome to the 11th episode of the Good Sound Club podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tom, and with me is Cena.
What's up, guys?
What's up? How you doing, Cena? Long time.
Good. I'm very tired.
Very tired? What time is it where you're at right now?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. and it's 7 p.m. for me over here on the west on the West Coast. Got it right the first time, but
The best coast.
Best Coast, yeah. Which brings me to I was just in the Southwest region. I went to an Audi show in Texas. It was a lot of fun. Um, Talk about the weather a little bit. I felt like I was. I really don't know how to describe how I felt outside. It's like someone forgot to close the oven door. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the best way of putting it. It wasn't humid. It was dry. Everywhere felt the same. But you were very grateful for the air conditioning wherever it was available. You're like, oh, finally. Like you're so happy to go anywhere that isn't outside but another indoor place. I really liked going places at the audio show. Hey everyone, welcome to the 11th episode of the Good Sound Club podcast. As always, I'm your host, Tom, and with me is Cena.
What's up, guys?
What's up? How you doing, Cena? Long time.
Good. I'm very tired.
Very tired. What time is it where you're at right now?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. and it's 7 p.m. for me over here on the west on the West Coast. Got it right the first time, but
The best coast.
Best Coast, yeah. Which brings me to I was just in the Southwest region. I went to an Audi show in Texas. It was a lot of fun. Um, Talk about the weather a little bit. I felt like I was. I really don't know how to describe how I felt outside. It's like someone forgot to close the oven door. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's the best way of putting it. It wasn't humid. It was dry. Everywhere felt the same. But you were very grateful for the air conditioning wherever it was available. You're like, oh, finally. Like you're so happy to go anywhere that isn't outside but another indoor place. I really liked going places at the audio show. Just want to add a little bit that I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of people. I met a fan of the show, Ravi. We had some tacos over lunch. It was pretty cool.
Whose show was this?
Our show.
No, no, no. The
Oh,
show that you went to.
oh yeah. It was the Austin shit show with shit and emotiva.
Okay, cool. And what context were you there? Just as a visitor, or?
Yeah, I was mostly visiting. I wanted to see. Well, I had my first audio meet a few months back, maybe a year back, and that was a lot of fun. And I thought it was worth flying out to see my friends again from South California, meet a few other ones. Not everyone could make it, but I had a lot of fun.
What was the highlight of the show for you?
The highlight of the show was not indeed listening. The highlight of the show was talking about stuff that doesn't really matter, like wow, I really like this song on this, or as we called it, a great DAC off. And I'll be honest, I did not listen to anything on the great DAC off. I I had suggested one song to play on the great DAC off. There's just like a series of 9 DACs, and I'll be honest, it might have been the wrong song to play at that system in that room to those people because I can't imagine anyone, not even myself, enjoying the song I had chosen. That song was "Chocolate Chip Trip," which, if you haven't heard, it's a song by Tool from the latest album Fear Inoculum, and it might just be an 8-minute intro song. There's not really much context or anything inside of it, but it's a popular song. A lot of people like it. I decided to play it to see what it was like on a on a timber DAC, as we like to call it, a non-technical performing DAC, or a DAC that it prioritizes timber. Yeah, it was kind of unlistenable. I mean, you just hear faint background noises, or you're wondering when the music's gonna happen. It was a little embarrassing. It was a little embarrassing. Afterwards, I had suggested someone else pick a song, and not no one raised their hand. So my next
You
song,
tried to pass the aux cord.
yeah, I tried. Everyone said I was good. In my back of my mind, I said, "Wow, these are nice people here." Like, I can't believe no one, no one's telling me my music choice is bad. But internally, I felt like my music choice was bad. But the highlight of that night was actually, no, my music choice was not bad. There was much worse. I,
Okay.
I won't go too much into that, but um, comparing 9 DAX or six, I don't know. I stopped listening after the second one. You can't really have it all. Like, no matter what the price point is, I don't think you can have it all. And there's no way you can satisfy every customer, or every musical preference, or every genre with this single deck. It's,
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of cold hard truth right there, I think. And I definitely learned that. I don't know if anyone else came out like that, but some people definitely came out thinking their deck was the best deck ever, and all other decks were inferior in every possible way. And I'm very happy for them.
There was to them it was DAC measuring
Yeah, it was a deck
contest.
measuring contest. Unfortunately, there was no Bricasti, but there was a Yggdrasil, a Pasadena Morpheus, I believe, Rockna
Sonnet.
Sonnet, the Sonnet, yeah, a Rockna Waves Dream XLR Signature Edition, quite a long name, but
Oh shit! Signature edition.
yeah, Signature Edition. Uh, not really sure what else was there, but
Dave? Was there Dave?
Accord Dave with an M scaler.
Right.
I'm just gonna say I agree with a lot of impressions of it online. it,
Okay.
it's a really interesting presentation. It's a bit like the Wave Dream, but texturally, I do not think they are similar. I do not think they're similar texturally, but in other aspects, quite similar. They have a very nice looking chassis.
Very nice chassis.
Very nice. Yeah, I wish I brought my deck to measure it against everyone else and feel better about myself, but maybe next time.
Okay, cool, man.
Yeah. So, what about you, Cena? How you been?
Okay, I'm hanging in there. I made uh, made some purchase decisions that I regret slightly,
I've I've never could have imagined that.
slightly to moderately, but it's okay. Um, we're coping. We'll recover. We're in a rough patch right now. You know, there's ups and downs, and right now we're definitely down.
We can sell the gear. We can sell the gear on Audio
Yeah,
Mart.
when I sell it, we'll be up, and then when I buy again, we'll be
Yeah,
down.
finally.
It's all cyclical. You know, this is economics 102. Um,
You
yeah,
just have to develop your own product, and then you can be satisfied.
yeah. Maybe when I'm not working 60-hour weeks, we can do that.
Yeah, long term project. I'm still hoping for it. I like the ideas. A little teaser for everyone listening. That brings me to a question we actually have. Cena, what's your favorite audio purchase you have made?
Favorite is that a viewer question?
That is actually a viewer question. We have received a viewer
Do you want to
question.
shout them out? That's the first one we got. We should get a shout
Well,
out.
the truth is, I'm not going to shout them out once, but twice this episode.
Oh shit! It's their lucky day.
Our submitter is actually Troy.
Oh my god, Troy,
Thank you, Troy.
the Troy, friend of the
Thank you,
show.
Troy. Big friend of the show. Always there for us. Always wondering what we're doing, what we're up to, living his own experience.
So that's what he said. Favorite audio purchase?
What is your favorite audio purchase?
Um, it's actually a recent one, I think. Well, yeah, I'll go with these. It's a pair of Grado SR80s from
Wow.
the mid 2000s. They're headphones for those of you who don't know. I think a lot of people know Grado, however you say it. Um, we have an anecdote. I was on HeadFi um, since I guess 2014, and
And headphi is a headphone form.
yeah, the biggest headphone form. They've been around for ages, and there's like a lot of talk on there about Grados. A lot of Grado fans. I don't know why.
I'm one of
I
them.
never tried them until like this year. Despite being into headphones for 7 years, I never tried them until now. And the reason why I say I don't know why is because they're said to do well with like the music that I like, but I just probably because they're on ear, and I used to wear headphones all day before I had speakers, so I was probably just worried about comfort or whatever. But the first experience with them was back in February. Um, they had just refreshed their model lineup to the X series. So they were on like the E series, and then it was the X series. So X stands for excellent, of course. Um, so I went to Amazon. I ordered a pair of 320 SR 325X, which is like the highest model in the Prestige series. Is the worst headphone I ever heard, and sounds kind of harsh, but it's true. It's the worst headphone I ever heard. Like there was nothing good about it. It didn't have any bass, it didn't have any highs, it didn't have any mids, and Tom is just massaging his head right now. He's like, don't don't say it sucks, but it's really bad. It sucked. I was really disappointed.
I've heard it.
You heard it? What'd you think?
I've heard one, and I like it a lot.
Okay,
I like it a
maybe I
lot.
heard it wrong.
I'm gonna go with you. Heard it wrong.
I mean
I
I
liked
tried to
it.
break it
I liked
in. I
it.
played it for 24 hours. It didn't change at all. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. But the good news is that I have a golden rule, and that rule is to try everything at least 3 times. It's a very good rule. And I knew that you liked your Grados. You're wearing them now, actually. I knew that Parker,
Yep.
friend of the show, likes his Grados. So I thought, okay, how bad can they be? Maybe I heard it wrong. So I'm willing to admit that I heard it wrong. So I went on eBay. I said, okay, I'm not going to get scammed into buying new Grados again. Went on eBay. I bought an old pair for $50. These are the SR80s, so second from the bottom. They're like the cheap entry level. Um, and my first impression, I wish I could look up what I said to you, but I think the chat's gone. But I think I said something like, "The good news is they're better than the 325s. The bad news is that they suck." And that was my first impression. And I put them aside. I only listened to one song, and I put them aside. The next day, I listened a little bit more. I'm like, okay, actually, maybe these don't suck. They're a little bit better than I thought. Then I kept listening, and now they're my favorite headphones. Now I'm selling everything else because I just like these so much. So I'm deep into Grado. I've read all the Grado lore. I'm a Grado historian now.
A lot of it.
Was that?
Yep. We got to thank the previous headphones, the previous hosts
Yes.
that paved the way
The
in our
historians, the
history.
Grado historians on HeadFi who've documented everything that you'd want to know. Not really, but sort of. Um,
There's a lot.
there's a lot.
There's a
There's
lot
a
to
it's a
dig
big
through.
rabbit hole. Like one model has like eight or nine different versions, and they've documented it. You got to dig, but it's there. So anyway, I
There's liner notes.
was that.
There's liner notes to almost every Grado timeline.
Yeah. I wanted to see, okay, like if these are the cheap ones and they sound so good, it can only get better, right? And being a vintage guy, old, good, new, not so good. I thought, okay, let's go straight to the source. What was the first Grado headphone? It turns out it's from 1989. It was designed by Joseph Grado, the founder of the company, before his nephew John Grado took over, and that's called the HP 1000. So he designed it to be like, he just thought all the other headphones sucked, and he wanted to make his own to make it, a true studio reference that people could use to analyze different recordings, different sources, even different cables. He's a big cable believer, Joe Grado. So that intrigued me because I consider myself to be a connoisseur of neutral sound. Um, and then, they one popped up for sale. The guy wanted 2,500 US dollars for it. It's kind of whack. They normally go for more like 17, 1800, depending on condition. I sent him a message. I'm like, hey man, I'll do 1800. I expect him to tell me to go away, but he replied and he said I'll do it. And they were in mint condition, completely mint. Normally they have like some sort of lettering faded or something like that, but no, these are pristine. Um, I bought them. They arrived. Super excited. Took them out of the box. I thought I was going to hear Jesus, but they kind of suck. I listened to 3.5 songs and I put them back in the box. Um, they don't have bass. There's no bass. They don't have highs. They're quite dark. The mids are very polite. That's the word I would use, polite or subdued. They are very clear sounding. So I think if his goal was to make something that you could use to kind of analyze stuff as an instrument, he definitely succeeded in that department. But for something to listen to music to for pleasure, I prefer the $50 ones. So anyway, I have to sell those
Sounds
now.
sounds like a sounds like a very professional headphone.
It is a very professional headphone. It's built extremely well. It's like all metal construction and really solid. A little bit heavy, but not too bad. They're like an apparatus. When you put them on your head, you feel like you're wearing like a tool. Um, but yeah, I mean, unfortunately, not not what I would consider neutral. Maybe someone else's idea of neutral, but not what I like. So anyway, that was strike number two, if we're counting the 325s. So Grado was now 1 for 3. And then I thought, okay, I got to stick with the John Grado headphones, his nephew who took over the company. So I went for the RS1s, which are like the Woody version. So they, instead of having like inert metal cups like the HP 1000s and supposed to be super neutral, these have like wood cups. So he was like embracing the color, the wood reverb. He went too far. He went too far. They're also not as good as the SR80 for me. They're fuzzy and soft sounding. You can kind of hear the music getting lost in the wood, if that makes sense. Like detail just evaporates. And I know some people like that, like a lot. They have their fans, but again, not
Oh yeah,
not what I was looking for. So anyway, we're 1 for 4 with
that's
Grados. I will continue the quest because there's a lot of models out there. They've been in business for
oh yeah,
for an eternity, like
oh yeah.
30 years. They've been making headphones, so I have a lot to choose from. So I'm not going to give up, but so far, yeah, SR80 for me. I love these. They're extremely good for the music that I listen to. They're very clear. Um, they make me emotional, like when I listen to music that I like. So yeah. What about you, Tom?
How do, well, obviously I want to state I love Grado. I brought a Grado on my trip, but I wanted to ask you: do Grados sound like people describe them? And when I say people describe them, I don't mean they're fans, but people that dismiss Grados. Do Grados sound the way people describe them in a negative context?
Yes and no. So when I first got the SR80, I thought that they did. Like they have a bit of a metallic sheen in the presence region, but for whatever reason, when I listen for like one song, it goes away. I don't know why. I don't know how to describe that, but it does. You just kind of get used to it. They do. They are a little bit lean in the lower mids. People say that the higher end models are not, and that's true. Been true in my experience. So kind of that characterization, I guess, I can get on board with. People say they have no sound stage. I don't agree with that at all. I think they're actually very clear, and their sense of spatiality, excuse me, is excellent. So I don't agree with that assessment. I don't know what else do people say commonly about them.
They're sharp.
I mean, yeah, they have good transients. Not all of them, like the HP 1000 and the RS1, they're not sharp. They're very polite and very soft sounding. But the SR80, yeah, they're sharp in a good way, in a way that I like. So if you're like a
Yeah,
fan of a soft sound, Grado is definitely, maybe some models, but probably not. You can look elsewhere. But if you're a fan of like sharp sound and you don't necessarily like there's a lot of sharp headphones out there, but they're not they're messed up in other ways, like Audio Technicas and stuff like that. They're very flavor specific. Grados are good if you like sharp sound and you kind of want something more honest, I think. But whatever that means.
a little. a little more energy than relaxing.
Yeah, I mean, I can relax to these too. They're kind of just it's really hard for me to say anything except that they're perfect, like for my taste. It's really weird. And maybe that means that I just like colored sound. Maybe that means that everyone else is deaf. I don't know what that means. I'm hoping this is the kind of the audiophile's curse, right? Is that you find something that actually you think sounds perfect or close to perfect, you want better.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that I can find another model that's even a little bit better. But if it doesn't, I just have to accept it. It is what it is. So I think the next one I'm
Yeah.
going to try is actually the 325s again, but not the X version, the old version, because I think maybe they're built different or something. So that's my next stop.
Yeah, maybe the cable or voice coil is different.
Yeah, who knows?
You know, whatever it takes to convince yourself that it's worth trying. But
Yeah,
can't wait to see results. I personally really like the Grado aluminum cups. I think they're like some of the best build quality I think I've ever seen in a headphone. I've seen $1,000, $5,000 headphones, and I think the Grado metal cups are genius.
yeah.
Personally,
Aesthetically, they're very pleasing. I like them too.
but I say that as a Grado fan, so I mean, take it for what it is,
We're definitely
But
Grado enjoyers, but only the
yeah,
cheap ones so far.
yeah. I personally like my cheap one. It just has this different aesthetic. Like it's not. It doesn't sound like an E stat. I did hear an E stat. It sounds different. It doesn't sound like most dynamics. Doesn't sound like most planars. It's not necessarily
It's one
polite.
of
It's not
those things where
necessarily
it's like
rude.
if these are right, then everyone else is wrong. But it's what I feel like.
I've been wrong in many people's eyes before, so I happily embrace being wrong.
Yeah. What about you? What's your favorite audio purchase?
My favorite audio purchase is my next one. No, I haven't made a next purchase. I'm waiting to get here. It's just the new toys are always fun to me, regardless if I truly enjoy them or not. It's exciting. I mean, we know it's going to sound different. That's what's exciting
Right.
about it. But I did make a purchase recently. As everyone knows, I'm pretty dang cheap. you know, I'm in DAC and there's like I don't know $60,000 in DACs, and maybe another 10,000 in electronics, and priceless hand built speakers, whatever, and just a huge room, like a 40 by 40 room. But for me, I like a deal. I think a lot of people like deals. I was recently gonna get coffee, and I was decided, oh, I might as well go to this Goodwill. So I'm walking in the Goodwill. I'm like, I hope I find a $2 CD. I found amazing CDs,
Hmm.
and people literally donate them. And a $2 CD in my book, that's a deal because buying it on Discogs, you're paying for shipping. So
You're
it's
lucky if you
practically
only pay
free.
four. Jesus, in Canada.
Yeah, well, yeah, four plus. Oh, yeah, yeah. So I went in. I was like, all right, I know this Goodwill pretty well. I like the layout. Okay, cool stuff in the front. Nice. All right. Shirts. Okay, I'm not looking for that. Walking. Glass case. Nothing I need. I'm not gonna buy some shoes. There we are. The electronics aisle. Just a single wall with the electronics. I'm walking past and I go, wait a second. I know these front buttons. I've seen this square configuration before. I'm like, is this the era I'm thinking it is?
Hmm.
I quickly take a picture, send it to Cena, ask, "Is this good?" You simply say, "Yeah," and I go, "All
Hell
right,
yeah! I said
that's
hell
you."
yeah, dude.
That's useless. I gotta see what this is. Look at the back, get the number, don't recognize it. I'm like, this must be like a different configuration. Like this must not be the original design. I don't recognize this model numbering scheme. I think it was like 24 something one, or no, it was like 24. I
2041. It's a Magnavox FD 2041 CD player.
That's what it was. Typed that into Google, eBay search. try to look for inside shots. I'm like, what is this? What chips inside? You know, fingers crossed. That I've had my fingers crossed for so many months. You know, our viewers or our listeners don't know how many months it really has been, but it's been so many months. I'm like, please just be one of these two chips. Please just be one of these two chips. And I got lucky. It was one of the two chips. Is actually a Philips TDA 1540, one of the original digital to analog converters. There was a few other ones, but this was one of the original proposed for like CDs. It's a dual mono design, so there's two chips straight off the you know optical pickup unit. I had to know which one it was. I looked that up because there's lore and a lot of his old stuff. There's questions, there's concerns, and I found out it was a CDM2, and Parker had recently told me those last a long time. So I was like, okay, well this probably works, and I was ready to blind purchase it, and I wasn't sure what to do. There was no cable included, so I picked it up, walked to the CD section, quickly picked out a CD. It was a classical CD. There was many other CDs, but it was a classical CD from a label I actually like. It was a Sony Classics. I really enjoyed the Sony Classics. I think they did a great job digitizing them. Uh, so I got one of those, and it was for our classical fans. Salty with a Chicago orchestra performing Mahler 5. It's a great CD. So I grabbed it, went back, tried to find an outlet, couldn't find one, went to where I got it, looked for a cable somewhere, put it in, open it up, press play. It doesn't say error. The flashing error sign of that dreads my dreams was not on. I look front display. It just has a simple 1:01. I, I don't know what to do. I'm like, is it broken? Is it not playing? Is it stuck? Uh, I decide, it's $15. Like, what do I got to lose?
YOLO.
Worst case scenario, I rip the chips out and keep them, put them on eBay. Possibly someone will buy them. Take it home. Some CDs don't work. I'm like, what? What's going on? Well, long story short, CDs sound remarkably different. Not all CDs are printed the same. It I didn't want to know that. It's like finding out cables sound different. It's it's sad, but it's the honest truth. You just you just have to live with that truth, and I'm happily living it. I have a huge collection of CDs. Uh, the CD player sounds awesome with classical. I absolutely love it with classical. Initially, I thought it was bad. I had messaged you that it sounded bad. Like it had this treble glare. I didn't quite understand.
Mhm.
I'm just gonna chop it up to that's the sound of a blue spec CD. They just have a different sound, and I don't think I like blue spec CD. So I would not recommend a blue spec CD. If anyone doesn't know what a blue spec CD, it's actually when the CD manufacturing process changed and was outdated. The equipment was sold. They later had DVD pressing plants. That was sold. They later moved on to Blu-ray. They used Blu-ray pressing plants to print CDs. And they say, wow, these have incredible rise times. These are so much better specs, but the truth is I've had issues with blue spec CDs because they have a unique lacquer on them. The blue coating is does not it just some CD writers, some CD drives just don't like it. They refuse to read it. It might be something to do with the reflection of the light because a CD laser is a different wavelength than a Blu-ray drive. So I don't like blue spec CDs. I don't think I'm ever gonna buy a blue spec CD, no matter how good of a deal it is. I'll stick to my gold CDs, which I adore. So that's my quick story of my new Magnavox CD player, and I like it. Got it for $15. Can't wait to put $150 into it and feel like it's infinite value.
What are you gonna do?
What am I gonna do? Well, this project has been a thing for me for a lot of months. A lot of months, maybe years. I lost count. I've given up many times. Obviously, I'm going to do a full recap on the power supply, possibly. There's some caps in there that I'm not sure I want to replace. Like I want to say, I'm going to do air quotes and say a vintage HP cap. It's kind of nice. I don't know what would really replace it with. Yeah, possibly the power supply. I don't really want to mess with any of the digital side, but I have a tech who offered to do it for free because he just wants to experience the CD player because CD players are quite difficult to ship.
Hmm.
In addition to that, I've read countless mods for CDs, from external clock sources to removing digital filters to even having they call it dynamic element
Matching.
modules, that dynamic element matching modules that reclock and synchronize both channels to the master clock and the clock distribution unit. But I don't know how much of that I want to do. At least the power supply, though I know it'll last me quite a while.
That's awesome, man. Dude,
Yeah,
we should do like a whole episode on cheap stuff. Cheap stuff is just better.
I just feel good
It
about it.
just hits
No
different.
one,
Makes you happy, like genuine happiness,
no,
not
knowing.
temporary material satisfaction.
Oh yeah, I play it all the time. I play to my plants. I play my plants classical. I keep collecting plants from my plant fi setup.
Mm,
I swear it sounds better with every new plant I add. I recommend everyone to buy plants. I think they're just great. Part of it for me is the cheap stuff is I don't really have a sunken cost. Um, some people don't either, regardless of the price they pay. But part of it just has to do with an experience. I really enjoy this deck. As I said many times, I enjoy a lot of audio equipment, regardless of its price. But to me, the story behind it is so much more impressive than any technicalities any piece of equipment could achieve. Obviously, high technicalities are very impressive, but the story I can share with people that experience my equipment, I think, is more priceless because it really sets up the mood for what something is.
yeah,
I saying, this designer, he's a very smart guy. He can hear to negative 180 dB. He's a jitter master. He knows what he's doing. Or this guy, he's so complex. He's deciphered the polarity of the earth, and he designs his equipment to match it. Some of it seems like a joke, but these are designers. There's a designer for every belief.
hmm,
I like to think, and these Philips engineers really did something quite unique. It was really a global, extraordinary effort to deliver the CD, and I'm very happy to have a first generation digital to analog chip.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have one coming too, but it wasn't $15. Did I talk about it last time? I don't remember.
You talked.
I don't think I mentioned
No,
it. Yeah,
I
I
don't know
bought
if you
another
did.
CD player. Um, it's a Revox.
You've had a lot of CD players.
I have a lot of CD players. Yeah, I have a lot of. Oh, well, I had even more, but I just sold one actually. I just sold a Philips CD 960 to a friend.
Ooh,
So I'm actually,
that was beautiful.
yeah. I restored it. It was, dude, it was fucked up. Like when I got it, it was fucked up. I don't know what this poor player had gone through, but the guy was like using it for years, like without the lid on, and it was just full of dust. There was some burnt
Mm.
resistors. The power button
He
was not
thought it. He
original.
thought it sounded better.
Sorry.
He thought it sounded better without the lid.
Well, it probably did, but I mean, the power button was not original, and it had a fracture in it. So I knew that if I left it in there, it would just fail over time, and I didn't want to sell to the guy like that. So I actually had my buddy who works at a machine shop make a brand new power button out of Delrin plastic, and it looks original. Like you can't tell
That's
it
high
was
five.
replaced. Beautiful. Recapped the power supply caps, obviously some nice Nichicons. Actually, no, not Nichicons. We put Elnas, vintage Elnas from the '90s, which were used in Marantz CD players at that time. So a nice match. So yeah, I had that. It sounded pretty good. We didn't actually mod it to replace the op amps or anything to make it sound better, but I think he's going to do that himself. He wants to mod it, so that's cool. But what I'm getting is a Revox B225. I've always wanted a Revox CD player. They just look so cool. They look really cool. Um,
They look
they
nice.
look nice.
The centered disc tray.
Center disc tray, just the Revox aesthetic, the checkerboard, pattern with the buttons. I mean, Philips players look cool too, but I think the Revox are a little bit more impressive.
They might be a step above.
Definitely a step
I
above.
think I would place
Um,
a Sony and a Revox a little bit higher aesthetically than a Philips.
Yeah, and I never felt like buying one because I knew that if I just bought a random one off eBay, it was going to have problems. Um, and I, I mean, that didn't stop me from buying a lot of other CD players that have problems. But these Revoxes go for a lot of money. Like even in unrestored condition, they can go for I don't know, 1,000, $1,200. They're not cheap. They didn't make that many of them compared to the Philips. But I found a guy, not found a guy. I've actually known of him of quite some time. A guy in Germany who, there's a lot of TDA enjoyers out there, people who study at the Church of Phillips. This guy is one of those. He's looked deeply into the chips and how they work, and tried to improve them. Um, and so what he does is he offers restored first and second generation Philips CD players, or Philips based CD players, I should say, that are just slightly modified. Um, so I don't know. We can put his website in the description because it's kind of difficult to describe what exactly he believes in and how he does it. It would take like 30 minutes. It's probably better not to get into it. But yeah, I have one of those coming. So that might be like a endgame CD player thing. I probably won't enjoy it as much as you enjoy your $15 one, but I look forward to it anyway.
You'll get close. I think you'll get close. Yeah, I mean, as a similar DAC in there.
Oh, and what's really cool, he
But it has
offers a
a
USB input. So he actually designed his own USB input model for these like 1980 CD players, so you can use them as DACs, which is always convenient to not be chained to CDs.
yeah, he really has come up with a lot of interesting modifications. When I was first looking at CD players and CD mods, you know, people would always tell me, "Oh no, like you gotta get this other thing. You gotta get the thing I'm getting." And in my mind, I'm like, I could get it, but then I would be disappointed in them if I disliked it. That's one of the struggles of recommending anything.
Hmm.
So that was part of my journey in discovering the 1540. And I found out he did it. I sent him emails. I'm like, I'm a novice. I mean, I believe I still am, but now I know more. But I remember foolishly emailing him and asking, "What does it do?" And he pretty much replied to me in a manner that I felt like I should really think about what I'm asking, because it's not just like what does it do. It's like what why should I value the work he's done? And he's done a lot of work. He's written a lot about them, and just like many of the Phillips fans, they're very big fans, and they found what they like, and they do it, and they think that's the way. So I definitely respect him. And if I was to purchase modifications, it will be, and always has been my idea to go through him.
Yeah.
And one of my friends asked, what should I do with my CD player? And I just simply linked him to the website to get all the list of parts directly from him. He was in Europe, so it was a very easy transaction. He was very happy about it.
His website is well, there's a German and an English one, but his company I think is called Metronome without the e at the end, so Metronome, I guess. That's kind of what he calls his not only his company but also the modification that he offers for these units. And it's all to do with like timing, which is very important to digital audio. So really fascinating stuff. You guys should check out his website. And what I like about him is that he obviously has a deep respect for the engineers who came up with these machines to begin with. He doesn't just think that you can do some amateur part swaps and get better performance. No, it's not like that.
Yeah, he doesn't tell you to rip half of the CD player apart.
Yeah,
It's very simple. Almost anyone can do it, but I like what he does, his website, and for me that was one of the rabbit holes I had gone through.
a lot of rabbit holes out there.
Yeah, but I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm closing in on getting out of this one.
Yeah.
What about any other CD players you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I guess I can give an update on the Sparkler CD player that I think it was either last episode or 2 episodes ago. It's hard to keep track. Jeez. I said I ordered, or maybe I got it already. I don't remember. But yeah, I've had it now for a couple weeks. It needed a really long break in time. Like it sounded really bad out of the box. It was very boring, very bland, and then after a few days of playing, it changed to being like super sharp and super lean, so basically unlistenable. And then after a few more days, it was like, okay, I guess this is it. Um, if I had to describe it as an ice cream flavor, it would be vanilla with no sprinkles, and you also don't get a cone. You just get the vanilla ice cream. That's it. It's just very it's very plain sounding, not necessarily in a bad way, but I had like I said, I had the Philips 960 here because I restored it and then was preparing to pack it to ship it to my friend, and I kind of just did it back and forth. The sparkler is cleaner, yes. It has an external power supply. It's a lot simpler. Inside, the Philips has a lot of um, yeah, I wouldn't call them unnecessary details, but it's kind of overbuilt when you look inside of it, and that kind of leads itself to a certain sound. Um, but the one thing the Philips definitely had that the Sparkler does not is because the Philips has this really nice all metal cast metal mechanism. It just has a really solid sound, really solid bass, and solid foundation to the sound, and that's why a lot of people like those old Philips players. I'm sure yours probably has that to some degree as well, even though it's not cast metal yours, but it's still nice. Um, the sparkler doesn't have that. The sparkler's mechanism is like the mechanism you would find in like a boombox that plays CDs. It's like it's plastic. The disc does just is not. It is clamped, but it floats on this little spindle. Um, Quite popular solution in the DIY community to kind of do transports based off that cheap mechanism, because that's really all you can get these days anyway. Um, Unless you want to pay a lot of money for like the Stream Unlimited one. There's just not many people making CD transports anymore. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if I like it yet. It's too early to say. Got to do some more comparisons, but it looks cool.
Yeah, I quite like how it looks. That one has a little bit of lore too. I forget what it's called, like in the
Shigaraki,
DOI space. A Shigaraki,
Shiga clone.
a Shiga clone.
Yeah,
Yeah, a Shiga clone. Let's talk about a little bit what is a Shiga clone?
sure. So the guy who founded Sparkler, Mr. Sukahara, he used to work for 47 Labs in Japan, who are like I guess they're still around. They're like an esoteric. audio manufacturer. Everything they do is kind of centered around the concept of less is more and minimalism and stuff like that. And so they introduced the CD transport. I don't know when, late 90s or early 2000s, I want to say, that used this mechanism from like this JVC boombox. Like that's literally where they got it from. It's a Sanyo made mechanism from a JVC boombox. They would buy the boombox or order it directly from Sanyo, I guess, because they're in Japan. And it was a really expensive transport. I don't know how much it cost, but it was not cheap. All the 47 Lab stuff is not cheap. It's like several thousand US dollars. And some guys on DIY audio basically realized where you could get that mechanism and just clone it for like $100. And so that spawned like this whole market of what are basically called Shiga clones, because that was the original name of the transport, was the 47 Labs Shigaraki. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but um, they started like this whole trend of basically getting this mechanism and building your own. And people would just buy like a piece of plywood and mount everything to that. So it didn't even look like a CD player. It was just like some mad scientist project. But they do work, and I'm sure they sound good. But yeah, basically after the Mr. Sukahara left 47 Labs and founded his own company, he's basically making like the same product. Um, I'm sure that he has his own spin on it versus what 47 Labs was doing, but it's very similar.
Yeah, I mean, he helped design it, so I'm sure he knows how to build one.
I don't think he helped design it. I'm not sure if that's necessarily the case. I think when he was there, he was primarily in charge of their Midnight series, which I could be totally wrong about this if I'm not remembering correctly. I think it was supposed to be like similar products but just at a cheaper price point. So I think it was his job to kind of be able to cut corners without compromising quality. I think that's what he was doing. But I don't think he designed the original one. I could be mistaken. Difficult to find information about this stuff in English.
Yep, totally understand. I mean, you wouldn't want to reveal too many trade secrets.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right. Well,
we had another question, right?
yeah. Here we are at the end. Usually we have an album recommendation, but this time, again, thanks to Troy, we have a musical question. Troy asks, "How has your musical taste changed over time?"
How has it changed over time?
Yeah, how? I like to think of it as since being in audio, the music you listen to before the audio hobby. Do you still listen to that music?
I guess I really only got into music in the eighth grade. I used to think that what was I listening to in the eighth grade? The same stuff that I listen to now. So the answer is no. My taste hasn't changed. When I was in the eighth grade, I heard a Canadian band called Metric. That just blew my mind. I don't know how old I was, maybe 13 or something. Um, yeah, that blew my mind. I never heard anything like that before. Even though by what I know now, I know that it's kind of typical indie rock. So there's nothing really that special about it. But I love Metric, and they're also from Toronto, which is where I live. So there's a hometown advantage. So yeah, in eighth grade, I listened to Metric. I listened to Ladytron. They had just released a new album. Um, I still listen to Ladytron. I still love them. I own all their CDs. I listen to the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, bands of that nature. And now, what, um, 14 years later or something, still listening to the exact same artists. So my music taste hasn't really changed. It has evolved, since getting into audio and getting into record collecting and stuff like that. I own hundreds, if not thousands of, probably 2,000 records, most of which is actually classical and jazz because I don't really believe in collecting pop music on vinyl. Um, but I'll be honest with you, I don't listen to it that often. I like the indie stuff. There's only so much time in the week to listen to music, sit down and listen. And when I do, I like to listen to rock music, indie rock. Um, Tons and tons of new rock coming out like every single week. It's impossible to keep up with it all, but it's fun. So my taste really hasn't changed at all.
I wanted to ask a follow up. Since being in the hobby, has there been pieces of equipment that have helped you realize or be able to more deeply appreciate certain genres of music?
Uh,
Or in addition to that, is there pieces of equipment that you feel are almost single genre specialists?
yeah, I mean, Tom, what time are we at? We're at 52 minutes. I could talk about this for an hour. So I'll just try to condense my
You
answer.
got you got 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's a
You
very
got three
important
minutes.
question. I'll try to condense my answer. Basically, I believe there's two categories of equipment. There's equipment that, um, uh, okay, before I say that, I should say this. All music, regardless of whether it's like a golden era 1950s Frank Sinatra recording with a vacuum tube and cut from analog and done at Columbia Studios and all that, or if it's a 90s Pro Tool autotune share song, it doesn't matter. All music and all recordings have their own kind of aesthetic. Um, and you can kind of, if you're not familiar with this concept, you can kind of think of it as like when a song comes on the radio, if it's a song that you've heard before, maybe you even haven't heard before the singer even starts singing, or you have time for your conscious brain to recognize what that song is or who it's by, you already feel some sort of like emotion or some sort of reaction. That might be nostalgia, it might be happiness, it might be sentiment. And that comes from your subconsciousness's interaction with whatever that recording aesthetic is. So, for instance, if I'm driving and a Paramore song comes on, before I even recognize that that's Paramore, I get very happy because I think of when I was in high school and I was listening to Paramore, and it makes me very happy. So that kind of has to do with musical aesthetic. That concept summarized very quickly. So I think there's two categories of equipment. There's equipment that retains musical aesthetic. It has a flavor of its own. Definitely, there's no such thing as transparent or 100% neutral, but it retains musical aesthetic and lets it come through. And then there's equipment that overwrites it and does not allow the aesthetic to come through. And it kind of says like you have to listen to things my way. And I hate gear of the second category. So when I say something is the worst I've ever heard, usually people think I'm being like hyperbolic because I want to be inflammatory or something. That's not the case. It's just that I think that this is gear that doesn't let you enjoy music because it imposes itself on what you're listening to too heavily. So that's my answer. I don't want to name specific names, but there's a lot out there. I would say most of it, at least most hi-fi gear, is in the latter category, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know. What's your take on it?
On that question specifically, excluding the music, which I'll get back to, I feel designers optimize, at least, well, not all designers. Some designers, or maybe a majority of them, optimize their equipment for their musical preference.
Absolutely.
And I and I think when you're trying to decide, what should I get this? What does this sound like? And you're looking for opinions or a review, which I don't put much value in a review. That that for me, uh, my my opinion on reviews shortly is it's almost gymnastics. I think I
Yeah.
quite enjoy reviews. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of show. Maybe synchronized swimming might be a little bit better, but I like to think I like to think of reviews as almost very very low information. If I do want information on a piece of equipment, I tend to look at what music someone listens
Hmm.
to. Me personally, in my reviews, the few that I do, I will describe music I liked on a piece of
Yeah.
equipment. To try to help someone. I like to describe how great something sounds with a specific piece of of music, because to me, it's supposed to play music. You can do all these ABX tests, and I can put them all in a spreadsheet, and then you do calculations if it's actually better.
Yeah.
But it can be technically better, but is it musically better? Does it better fit my musical preference? And sometimes it doesn't. That's just my opinion. But I think there's right now a lot of gear that's coming out that's pretty good, but I think as you go higher up in high end audio, I think is actually worse
Yeah,
in many regards because of the musical preference or the targeted audience or consumers' musical preference that they perceive it would have.
right.
Uh, yeah,
I agree with
but
you
to go
completely.
into yeah, yeah, thank you.
I could.
Um,
It's a very interesting subject. I could talk like for hours and hours about this.
yeah, yeah, I want to. Maybe it will be a topic for another day because some of it gets me really frustrated because some people just don't think about, does the engineer like the music I like?
yeah,
Similar to in like a studio engineer, does the engineer like the music I like? Is this engineer right? Is this mixing person right for this? What are their previous works? What sounds great that they've done?
yeah.
Just like a piece of equipment, you can listen to a mastering engineer and you can get a sense of what they are like, their tone, and their aesthetic, and what really excels in many regards. Just like a DAC or an amp, the designer, engineers, the master, they really help shape the music. And if that's the music you like, I think it's a good choice.
It's kind of
But to
yeah. It's funny that you bring up mastering engineers because I'm opinionated on this topic as well. But just
yeah,
really quickly before we get off the subject, I want to laugh for a second at the recent mobile fidelity controversy. Um, we
hmm
won't talk about it because there's not much to really talk about. Well, there is, but it's not that interesting to me. 'Cause I don't care. I don't. We don't buy new vinyl.
I'm not
Yeah,
interested.
but what I think is
Yeah,
funny about it is like these people are losing their minds that it's cut from DSD or there was a quantization process or whatever. And now it's ruined. It doesn't sound good anymore. I'm just kidding. Most people are actually upset because of the advertising practices, which is justified. But um,
yeah.
Mobile Fidelity is a label that I would actually associate with overwriting the recording aesthetic. Like I don't know if you've ever heard the Mobile Fidelity reissue of Nevermind by Nirvana. Yeah,
No,
worst thing I've
no,
ever
no.
heard. Like anything that makes grunge
Sounds
music
different.
and what Kurt Cobain and Dave Grohl and all them were trying to do worth listening to, completely gone with the Mobile Fidelity version. It's basically trying to make a rock album um, audio show friendly. And for fans of Diana Krall, yeah, I hate it. So that's like an example of sometimes gear does that, sometimes remasters do that. It all has to do with people kind of imposing their own will or aesthetic preference over what the musicians were trying to do themselves.
Yeah, personally, that's why I feel satisfied with the equipment I do have, the equipment I hear, um, and that's a problem I have sometimes reviewing stuff I'm not familiar with music I'm not familiar with,
It's possible.
but also the music I'm not familiar with also helps me triangulate what I think I like, not just all right, here's my procedurally generated test. I've convinced myself, well, give me my absolute answer if this is what I need. Um, I have to give an example of a new mastering that I actually like. I actually liked the new mastering of Metallica's Black Album by Rob Ludwig. I had a Rob Ludwig master of, I forget which Led Zeppelin album, but I
Probably
thought
two.
it was great. Yeah, I believe it was two. Sadly, it's only a single-sided Rob Ludwig cut, but it was printed in Germany, so it's super clean. It's nice. It's punchy. It's not compressed, but it just feels so loud, like vivid.
Yeah.
And this new Metallica master by him, I believe, it has a lot of this a similar aesthetic. I think that's kind of his signature. That's kind of why he's so famous,
Hmm.
because he makes music feel vibrant, but not in a way that you feel it's oversaturated, or you feel colors are blending into each other. But colors in this case would be instruments. It sounds airy, separated. It doesn't sound gross. It doesn't sound low budget. um, I haven't really compared it to the original. I remember listening to the original a lot, but just recently when this one was released, I was very excited about it. I've listened to it, and I do have copies of it. I haven't listened to the DSD version. I think there's a DSD version. Not that I'm too interested in that, but Rob Ludwig. I think he's a great mastering engineer. Um, that brings me to the music. As my music preference changed, um, I think in the short term it did. In the long term, it didn't, because for me, I really like the music I like. I always have. I wasn't really the person to play the same song 20 times, but I did like Red Hot Chili Peppers. I know a lot of people don't like them. Um, I think because especially the early stuff with that famous producer, I forget his name, from Def Jam Records. I feel so bad. He's actually like a super mega giant. But yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I just love the aesthetic. Um,
They have a great aesthetic.
as I got more into hi-fi, I I heard things I've never heard before. But it wasn't that it was noisy or any of that. It just that's the texture. That's so you can feel where the music was created, and the music was created in a house, and there's a whole documentary about the creation of the album. To me, if I can't listen to that and I can't enjoy that, I probably wouldn't like the piece of gear. Um, but in the short term, my musical preference did change, but it didn't change because I didn't like my old music. I was just so excited to listen to new music
Hmm.
or explore music that I wasn't familiar with.
Hmm.
Maybe genres I didn't quite as much appreciate when I was younger. As my scope or the reach of my preferences was very narrow and limited to the radio. I didn't have many records or CDs. Luckily, I still have most of my CDs that I had when I was young, when I was 8, when I was 10, 13, growing up. I remember the first CD I bought was probably that pop hit, I'm Blue, and later on, Red Hot Chili Peppers, my second CD. I was listening to that. My third CD was probably White Stripes. Let's see. There's just so many. Blink 182. Just growing up, it was really like you know it helped me understand more of who I was, and it definitely fueled my teenage years. But as I've grown older, I still like that music for its nostalgia. It's a type of nostalgia that doesn't really go away. But if I had an opportunity to listen to music, I don't always choose nostalgic music. I do like exploring still, and I have grown musically, taste wise. I like to say my palate's still bad, but at least I'll try the food. Um, Big fan of jazz, huge fan. Most modern jazz, uh, big band. I'm not really into big band. It can be good, and I can go on about that for quite a while, and I'm sure only 3 people would be listening at that point. But it's not for me, nor is vocal jazz. Classical music is very tough on some equipment for me to enjoy. It was until I heard the Rock Nut Wave Dream that I was able to appreciate classical for its scale and its depth. Um, and its dynamics, of course, which I totally understand why now people like classical or are so picky on it, because
Hmm.
it can sound wrong,
Yeah.
especially comparing it to live, which most of the time it is live. It could just sound very wrong, and so huge respect to those people that really like classical and have found equipment that really matches their taste. But overall, no, I've only added more music that I like, not liked less music.
Right. It's a good way of putting it.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you.
Do we have music recs for this week?
Yeah, why not? I got one.
Okay, go ahead.
But, all right. So, my musical rec for this week is an album that the iTunes algorithm played for me, and I decided it was so good. the skill was so big, and the drama was just right for me. So it's called the Great Foat Group, and the album's called Dark is the Sun, and the song is called Harpsichord Waltz. Man, that's a great track. Of course, harpsichord, but it's jazzy. You know me, I love saying jazzy is jazzy. Old music can be jazzy. For me, jazzy just kind of implies that there is a emotional connection, like an aesthetic. It. I feel the music more so than not, and I just think it sounds great.
Cool. My recommendation for this week, it's actually a hard pick. I'm kind of split on what I want to talk about because I was just at a concert. I have another concert tomorrow, but I'll save those actually. I think what I'm going to recommend is an artist called Lady Lamb, and the album is called After. It's from 2015. Um, this is the best album I've heard this month for sure, but I almost want to say this year. It's so good. Um, she's a she's a singer songwriter, I guess, but kind of a little bit heavier on this album. Has a band backing her. It's indie rock. She plays a jazz master. She's got a guy on bass and a guy on drums. Um, I kind of just listened to some of her. I do this thing where I listen to some songs by some specific artist, like it comes on Tidal Radio or whatever, and I really like it. But I don't know why. I just hesitate to go into their other albums and see like, okay, what's good here. Um, Maybe I'm
Mm-hmm.
afraid that it'll suck or something, and then I'll fall out of love with them. But um, this album really good. That's all I have to say. After by Lady Lamb.
I like to say, I want to say I'm the opposite.
Yeah,
When I have the radio and I love a song, I just stop. I'm
yeah.
like, oh nope, algorithm, thank you. This is it. Gonna play the whole album now, and then from there I'll completely explore their discography, either progressively forward or regressively in time.
Retroactively.
Yeah, retroactively. It's a toss up. It usually just depends on what's popular, but I like a song, I'll hear the whole album. And I haven't had a chance to hear this whole album by the Greg Foat group, but I will. I will.
Cool, man. All right.
Thank you everyone for listening. As always, this is a Good Sound Club podcast. For any questions, comments, or
I don't
concerns,
want your concerns.
yeah,
You
some
keep
terms
your
and services.
concerns.
No, no concerns. All right. Well, you can still send it anyways to questions at goodsound.club. Sorry.
Goodsound.club. Thank you.
Thank you.